How you doing, guys? Welcome back to the Poise Showcase series. And on my last video with the Herald Curved Greatsword, one of my viewers, High Jump Trent, actually requested that I make a Poise Showcase with the Astora Greatsword. So here we go. Now let's go straight over to the status page. We're at soul level 125 and those are my stats there. We have 44 vigor, 35 endurance, 39 vitality, 16 strength, 18 dexterity, 30 intelligence and 30 faith, keeping in mind that we are using the prisoner's chain as per usual. Now over to the equipment page, the Dark Astora Greatsword here plus 10 gets an A scaling in both intelligence and faith, and two-handed with these current stats we're hitting for 636 AR, which isn't too bad. Now shout out to Van on the Discord server for infusing my Astora Greatsword here with a Dark Gem. Otherwise, God knows how long I would have been farming those Herald Knights. It probably would have made me crazy. So thanks a lot for that, Van. You made this video possible a lot sooner than I thought it would come out. Now back over to the equipment page. My secondary weapon option here in the right hand is a Dark Longsword plus 10. Now I do think obviously that the Lothric Knight Straight Sword is a better option here. But again, I'm out of Dark Gems and I didn't want to be grinding for another Dark Gem for hours. So you can make that change here, but otherwise the Dark Longsword is the option that I'm using here. And in my third right hand slot I have the Sacred Chime of Filianor as usual for passive HP regen gains, as I do still have Bountiful Light. So essentially in the arena I open a match with Bountiful Light. If I'm given time to, I will also use Pray for Favour, and I'll have the Ethereal Oak Shield here on my back for a total of 12 HP regen per tick for at least 60 seconds of the match. Now in my left hand slots I have the Ethereal Oak Shield here, obviously here as a shield to block things and also because it has passive HP regen, 2 HP regen per tick I think. Now in my second left hand slot I have the Light Crossbow plus 10 with Explosive Bolt as utility, and finally I have a Blessed Kestis there in my third left hand slot if I feel like parrying anyone at any point in time. Now the Ethereal Oak Shield, it does have the skill weapon art. So essentially what this means is with the Astora Greatsword you can use the weapon art coming off of a block. Now I must say this is a lot more fun to do than viable. It's actually quite a good parry bait. You can get parried very easily doing that, but it is a lot of fun to pull off in certain points, which is pretty cool. So you do have that option there, and obviously when you have the straight sword equipped you can go into your stance weapon art coming off of that block, which is a far more viable strategy there than doing it with the Ultra Great. So you have those two options there with the Ethereal Oak Shield. Now back over to the equipment page. In terms of armor, I've got the Black Iron Helm, the Wing Knight armor, the Wing Knight gauntlets and Havel's leggings for a total armor poise value of 45.97. So with this build I was aiming to be above 45.81, and what that means is that when I'm using the Astora Greatsword, it means that we can infinitely hyper armor trade against every two-handed R1 in the game, up to and including other Ultra Greatswords, Greataxes and also curved Greatswords. Now we can only tank one two-handed R1 from a Greathammer, so we're going to have to pick them apart here using our crossbow and fast weapon just to hit them outside of active frames if we do encounter them in the arena. Now on top of that, as you guys know, the Wing Knight armor has pretty good absorption values, especially against Dark. And Havel's obviously is not too bad here either, but we're using it more for the poise, and the Black Iron Helm there to round it off, which also has decent absorption values as well. Now in terms of rings, it's a standard setup here guys: Chloranthy plus 3, Prisoner's Chain, Havel's Ring plus 3, and also the Ring of Favour plus 3. Now I will mention, even though most of you already know, that the Dark Astora Greatsword and Dark Longsword here are both Dark infused, so we can chip through those meta shield setups. Now that's about it guys, let's go take this bad boy straight into the arena. Alrighty guys, here we go. And it looks like we have the Exile Curved Greatsword over there. One of my favorites. It actually was my favorite Curved Greatsword for a while before I started using the Herald. That was pretty cool. Just have to be careful here. So as you can see, he brought out his parrying shield there because the Astora Greatsword weapon art, while situationally it can be kind of effective, it is very easy to parry. So we've got to keep that in mind here. And there we're using our armor poise optimization so we can take that trade. Always make sure you have enough stamina there, guys, to roll out. Whoop. Gotta be careful not to get backstabbed here as well. As you guys know, ultra weapons are pretty easy to punish with backstabs. And you do not want to get backstabbed here. Alrighty guys, next match. Now what do we have over there? Is that the Murakumo? I think it is. Damn, that's some good aim. Murakumo. I've yet to make a video using the Murakumo actually. Whoop. Should probably do that at some point. Although I don't think it'd play much differently to other curved greatswords. You know, good running attack, maybe a decent weapon art, possibly. Who knows? Both paying very passively here today. Well, went for a run there. A run and a jump. Whoop. Always make sure you have enough stamina there to roll out, guys, especially against a very passive player like this. Go for those hyper armor trades. Alrighty guys, next match. Is that another Astora Greatsword over there? Damn, that's cool. Astora versus Astora. Oh crap. Good old latency. Jesus Christ. Oh, this is gonna be fun. That probably was not a favourable trade there for us. Whoop. Alrighty guys, straight on to the next match. Looks like we have the Fume Ultra Greatsword over there. Smacked him just before he managed to get us. Whoop. Oh, and we interrupted his R2 there. Nicely done. Alrighty guys, straight on to the next match. Looks like we have a Demon Scar Pyromancer over there. Throwing out those chaos fed vestiges. watch out here. That's what I'm talking about. Hyper armor traits. It's all about timing here, guys. All about timing. Alrighty guys, straight onto the next match. Oh, that's nice. There we go, Nasty, what's his name? Nasty Nan. Only one trade and we've already equalized it with our health. Just sidestep that black serpent. Very easy to do in my opinion. Close. Alrighty guys, next up in the arena. Got another ultra weapon there, the Lothric Knight Ultra Greatsword. Look at our armor poise there. Just helped us tank that R2. Playing very carefully here because the Lothric Knight Ultra Greatsword actually hits incredibly hard. I'm surprised that rolling R1 didn't hit me there. Ooh, just hit him with the end of our weapon art there and managed to dodge the stomp. Bang, another 2-hit combo. Alrighty guys, let's go for one last match here today. Looks like we're squaring off against Gale's Greatsword. Whoops. And we can easily outpoise that weapon art here, so we're not too concerned about that one as long as we get our timing correct. Alrighty guys, so that concludes this episode of the Poise Showcase series, taking a look at the Astora Greatsword in action. Now, a couple of words about this weapon here guys. In terms of armor poise optimization and heavy poise builds, you're obviously going to get a lot of mileage out of this weapon in terms of trading capabilities, because it is an Ultra Greatsword and Ultra Greatsword breakpoints are very easy to hit. Now on top of that, its damage is not too bad. 636 on this dark build, for example, here two-handed is pretty good. So not too shabby damage either, although it will get outclassed by other Ultra Greatswords such as the Lothric Knight Ultra Greatsword, which I know that when you do optimize that one correctly, you're getting easily over 700 AR with that one. But I will say that the Astora Greatsword is actually quite versatile in that there are a lot of infusions that actually work well with it. For example, I was using the Astora Greatsword on a caster quite a while back, and it did get an S scaling in intelligence when infused with a crystal gem. And I've also read that the Astora Greatsword is probably the best Ultra Greatsword to use on a dexterity build as well, so it does do well on a sharp infusion also, so it's quite versatile in that regard. Now I will say that it does have a lot of the weaknesses of any other Ultra weapon in its class, namely that its very slow attacks make it quite easy for a good player to maneuver around you and hit you outside of active frames or actually fish for backstabs, so you really have to get good at baiting out those hyper armor trades to get in your 2-hit combos. Now on top of that, it is an Ultra Greatsword, so stamina management is very important, as you do not want to get into that negative stamina zone. Now in terms of the moveset, I will say that I feel that the moveset in this Ultra Greatsword is inferior to others in its class, but this is a personal opinion. For example, I don't really like the rolling R1 here, this overhead thrust attack. I much prefer the rolling R1 that's poke on other Ultra Greatswords, because they take advantage of the reach of the Ultra Greatsword with that poke. So I think that this rolling R1 is inferior in that regard. And on top of that, I'm not a very big fan of the weapon art either. I think that, like I mentioned at the beginning of this video, it's a very easy parry bait for a good player, so you really have to keep that in mind. And it can be sidestepped fairly easily as well, so I personally feel that the stomp weapon art is a lot more useful on an ultra weapon than this thing here. But I will say, again, like I mentioned at the start of the video, it's a lot of fun to actually use this weapon art coming off of a block using the Ethereal Oak Shield. But like I mentioned, it's a lot more fun than it actually is viable, so don't go trying to pull that off against a good player, as they'll probably punish you very heavily for it, but it's still fun to pull off when you get the chance there, guys. Now, one last thing I'll mention here with the Astora Greatsword is that it's quite light. It only weighs 8 units, which is quite a good advantage here, because it's the lightest Ultra Greatsword in the game, so you don't really have to worry about its weight so much. And on top of that, because it's so light, you can include quite a ridiculous amount of utility and secondary options in your side slots here, while also wearing heavy armor and being very well armor poise optimized and still remaining under 70% weight ratio, so you're not fat rolling. So the fact that the Astora Greatsword is very light actually works in its favor here as well, guys. Now that's about it here, guys. I hope you enjoyed this particular video. If you did, please hit that like button. If you're enjoying my content, please subscribe. And as always, guys, thank you for watching.